to rename it after Menezes Braganza, who is a local person for Goa only. Well, I myself used to think why this is so, but after studying Menezes Braganza life and work, there is an answer. Vasco da Gama opened the sea route to India. He brought the East and West together. But the result of that coming together of the East and West is a person like Menezes Braganza. He was the perfect blend of the best of the East and the West. He was the perfect person who he absorbed the best of the Western culture, and yet he never lost his true identity. Well, as you know, Menezes Braganza, many people know it. He belonged to the village of Shandor. Shandor was formerly known in ancient times as Chandrapur. It was the ancient capital of Goa, the ancient capital of the Kadambas. And I have read in Olivine Gomes' book, his life and biography. There is only one book in English, and that's written by Professor Edward de Lima, who is sitting here. I don't know, that book is not much. I myself didn't know about the book. It's published by this institute. I think I would encourage all of you to buy that book from this institution. I think we have copies. It's a very interesting, small book, less than 200 pages, but in one sitting or two sittings you can know all about Menezes Braganza, and it's worth knowing this very, very outstanding man. And an older book is the book published in 1963 when the institute was renamed by the committee. The book is in Portuguese, Prosas de Espécies, you have to know Portuguese for that. Where there is also a biography and there are full writings from this thing. But we propose to translate this book into English and make it accessible to the public, because everyone should know the mind of this man. Menezes Braganza, though he was so rich, one thing he did, in his young days, they say, he never wasted his money, nor he was seen moving around. As you know, in our rich families, there was the study, if you have too much money, boys would become degenerated, they would end up in dissipation. That was not his case. They say he used to spend time till late at night reading newspapers, books, journals coming from Europe. He used to get his things directly from Europe and read them at the young age of, in his 20s. And that is how he built up that vast culture and erudition which it had. You can see all that in his writings. Now, at the age of around 22, he was born in 1878 and died in 1938, a short life of 60 years. But in those 60 years, he did a lot. At the young age of around 22, the Herald was founded, at that time known as Herald. Now this Herald, it's the same newspaper. And he was in the editorial board. And that newspaper was, the editorial committee of the newspaper was a group of firebrands. They were all firebrands. And for the first time, there was a newspaper targeting the government. You know, today it's very easy to target the government, but targeting colonial government, and that time it was monarchy, it was very difficult. And they faced tough times at those days. But they never, when the editorial came, it was in the name of the whole committee. It was a collective responsibility. And at one time, they wanted to know who had written a particular article. Everyone was suspicious of Menezes Braganza because only he could write that way. But they never disclosed his name. And the whole committee submitted itself that whatever punishment you want, whatever prosecution you want to do, let it be against all of us. So that was the spirit. In 1911, he founded his own newspaper known as Unde. Unde means debate, the debate. It was for debating. And it was under his personal, he owned it and he edited it also. And in this newspaper, in the first issue, he says, the purpose of this newspaper is to reform the Goan mind. It's a very interesting objective, reform the Goan mind. It's about 100 years now, we are in 2012. I don't know, but somehow I feel that even today, we need to reform the Goan mind. Goan mind needs certain changes. There are certain things which are always wrong in our mind, and I will tell you what I mean by this. Well, Menezes Braganza was not just a journalist, he did much more. In Goa, they had started what is known as the Provincial Congress. It was an imitation of Indian National Congress. Indian National Congress was all India, but at Goa level, they had a Provincial Congress, and he used to participate in these congresses and many other. There was an elite of intellectuals at that time, and everyone used to participate, and the topics were mostly social, cultural, about various things, issues of that time. And Goa had a lot of intellectual life at that time. And this institute was the hub of Goa's intellectual and cultural life. And it is our intention now to revive that. We want this institute to be the hub, the very center of the intellectual and cultural life of Goa. And we hope all of you will cooperate with us. And we are going to have programs here every month on something or the other, especially talks. and every year, all other types of things, talks, musical programs and everything, to give this place a rich culture. Now, he was the president of the Regional Council, one of the congresses, he was the president. And they also had a political party. They had formed a political party at that time. Soon after the republic was formed, Portugal became a republic in 1910, they formed a political party. At one time, he became the mayor of Benjim. He was a predecessor of our friend Vaidehi Naik. So, the first Republican government appointed him the mayor of Benjim. There was a lot of criticism at that time because he was appointed, not elected. But he was appointed because he was the right person for it. And he was not from here, he was from Shandor. So in those days, Goans always create controversies and we are good at pulling each other's legs. So many people pulled his legs, but he didn't fall down. He was the mayor of Benjim. Afterwards, for the first time, there were 4 elected members in the assembly. At the time there was no assembly, there was a legislative council under the governor. But for the first time there were 4 elected members, they were like MLAs. It was him, Gomes Pereira, Cipriano da Cunha Gomes and Anand Bandodkar. 4 people. But these 4 MLAs of 1919, well, they were a force by themselves. They really agitated the government of that time. You must understand, it's not easy in that type of regime, colonial regime, to open your mouth. It's very easy today. In those days, everything you did was beyond the existing constitutional traditions of the time. Well, Menezes Braganza wrote on a variety of issues. The old publication, the Portuguese Passport, in 1963, classifies his writings into politics, administration and education. Administration means government really. But there is more. He wrote on social issues. He wrote on casteism. He wrote on women's education, on formation of children. And he touched on all types of issues which concern the society of that time. As I said, if you read Professor Lima's book, you get it all. And when we translate the main book, you'll get even more. I don't want to deal only with the biography of Menezes Braganza. The topic is Relevance of Menezes Braganza today. One thing that happens in our country and everywhere, we give honor to a person, we pray lip service and then we forget about him. And this happens about Mahatma Gandhi himself. Everyone knows him, nobody follows him. Roads are named after him, grounds are named, cities are named after him, but there is no Gandhian in India today as far as I know. Well, a similar thing happens to a person like Menezes Braganza. Everyone knows him because of the hall probably, and there is no further interest. What is his relevance today? To understand the relevance of a person today, according to me, there are 2 things we have to do. First, we have to capture his spirit. Every great man has a spirit. He has a mind, he has an outlook, he has a way of thinking. That is the first thing that we have to analyze. What was his outlook? What was he concerned about? How did he think? This is point 1. Secondly, we have to apply that outlook to the present problems. We have to translate his ideas into the modern time, in the situation of today, in today's context. How would he, a practical way would be, suppose he was alive today, sitting here and reading the newspapers of the day, how would he react? What would he have done? Well, I have reflected a bit on this, and these are the things that strike me. Well, in Goa today, we have one big problem. Many Goans know, a very large number of Goans, coolly they migrate out of Goa. They say it is for employment. And they go there, they don't come back. Going and working, coming back, I couldn't understand. They go there and they change their nationality. They give up their Indian nationality. They surrender their Indian passport. Their name is struck off from ration card, election card. Nothing remains, and still they call themselves Goans. I don't understand. Well, I could understand in an extreme case a person without job, dying of hunger, having nothing, no opportunity. If this was a complete jungle, that you go and you stay in migrate to some other country, I could understand. This is not the case. Persons I have observed, I know the person, I know the names, I have so many instances of persons that I know, having house, bungalow, government job, husband working, wife working, they sell the bungalow, they sell the house, they take 5 years leave, then they resign their jobs or they are sacked from the job, and they go and acquire different nationalities. And they settle down there. In countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, I don't understand what is going on. Sometimes then they send by email, they send us letters to tell us how to rule Goa. It's a peculiar mentality. Something that could be, I don't know. I think Menezes Braganza, in that reforming the mind of Goans was precisely this. The mind of Goans needs to be reformed. There is another thing, is the so-called Portuguese passport. Every morning when I come from that side in Altin, you know. Many of you may not know it because it's something you can see at around 8 in the morning. There is a big crowd there in a place where there is no place. There is a big crowd in hundreds. Every day there are hundreds of people crowded around the consulate to do this work of passports. And I have questioned some of them. Some say, no, it's not for me, it is for my children. In case later on they want to migrate in the next generation, I have to register myself now in Portugal. I don't understand this outlook. It is a peculiar thing because it is a preparation to give up your nationality. One thing is Portuguese language. It is my mother tongue. One thing is Portuguese law. One thing is Portuguese culture. But the important thing is, with all that, your nationality should not go. Portuguese was also the mother tongue of Menezes Braganza. It was the mother tongue of T.V. Cunha also. They knew very well who they were. All of us should know who we are. Giving up nationality is like denying your own father and mother. It's like standing up and saying, this is not my father, that is my father. This is not my mother, that is my mother. It is as simple as that. There is no other way of explaining it. It is something which should be so deep in a man. Well, you may have your reservations. You may have things to criticize. You may have a lot of things to say. But one thing you cannot have is, you cannot deny your own identity. I don't understand. And what is even worse, I don't see a single line written about this anywhere. I think I'm the first one who is talking about it. It just goes on. It's going on for a long time. Hundreds of people. I hear that Merces and Santa Cruz are empty. The houses are empty. In every house, there is only one person left. Everyone has left. The Portuguese passport is taken and you work in London. Nobody goes to Portugal. There's nothing to do in Portugal. The stop is in London. They say that London has become a little Goa. There is everything there. There is theatre, there is sausages, then you have Mass in Konkani. It's no, we are very happy. It's just all of us are there. So, is that enough? I don't understand. How can a people like this be happy? This is one issue. The next issue, which is connected, is this. How many people are staying in Goa? How many people can Goa hold? This state is overcrowded. What is the density of population in the rest of India and in Goa? How many people can we take? A marginal influx of population from other places is okay, we need it. But when half the population of a state belongs to other states, it is something that we have to think about. It is also connected with the first problem, because if people from so many parts of India can come here and make a livelihood, why can't you? Why can't you start a small business? Why can't you employ your own self in your own native land? Why should you be doing something elsewhere? These are the problems of Goa today. I think these are the problems that Menezes Braganza would be worried about today if he was here. That is the relevance of his thinking. That is the relevance of his mind. But there are more. Goans are lagging behind in various fields. There are no Goan IAS officers. There are no Goan IPS officers. When the Portuguese left Goa, only the governor was Portuguese. The whole administration were Goans. I know their names, you must be knowing also. The whole top brass bureaucracy was Goan. Chief Secretary, Chief Justice, every director, every head, everyone was a Goan. Only the governor was Portuguese and the military commander. Today, if you see, Goans are only under secretaries. They are always under. There is no Goan secretary. I don't know. We are a subaltern class in our own land. I don't know. It is our own fault. I am not blaming anybody. I am blaming our own self. This is where the mind of Goans needs to be reformed. This is the relevance of the thinking of Menezes Braganza today. Well, another thing which I want to raise is the portrayal of Goa and Goans before the rest of the country and the rest of the world. The other day, one man called Bob Geoldoff came here. And he said that, well, this is a land for sex, for drugs, for something else, everything of this kind. And that's it. He said and went. There is no comment. I don't understand. Even if it is true, I'm afraid it is true, but I think it called for a reaction. It called for a reaction. And this is the way it goes. And everywhere, the place is, another problem is alcoholism. Drugs, of course. Alcoholism, so much alcoholism. It is everywhere. The place is full of bars. Do we need so many bars? Do we need so many wine shops? Do we need to drink so much? Can we drink a little less? Can we have a timing for the bars here? Bars open at 6 in the morning. At 6 in the morning, there are people lined up waiting for the bar to open. This is something I see every day in my village. When I go for a morning walk, there are gentlemen lined up there. I don't know whether gentlemen or they're just men. But there are people who drink early in the morning. Can you believe this? And because of that, a lot of labor population, the families are getting destroyed. I don't see any voice raised against this. We are just We are just living, we are just going on with our life. Well, friends, these are some issues that I wanted to raise. These are very grave problems in our social life of this state. Another thing is, well, it's a delicate thing. We don't really have a Goan press. Do we have? The editors of all newspapers are from other places. Can't that be Goan editors? Goans are only reporters. And the government, they are under secretaries. In the press, they are under the reporters. But I don't see a Goan editor as such dominating the scenario. It is something that is missing. Because there must be a voice coming. You can put the name Goan, but there can be somebody else behind. You know, this is going on here. It's a peculiar thing, but the fault is of the Goans themselves. Goans are to blame. It is this kind of things that Menezes Braganza was fighting in his time. But now after 100 years, I think it's become even worse. Today we don't have a foreign power to blame. At that time the whole focus was on the foreign power. The foreign power is gone. Today we are here alone. We can't blame anybody. Nobody has stopped us from being what we are supposed to be. But we need to absorb the spirit of this great man to understand. The other day, last Sunday, I was watching the funeral of thackerey. Well, many people don't like thackerey because of fighting, beatings and all kinds of things, violent methods. But I was meditating as to why lakhs of people were lined up there the whole day for the funeral of this man. One thing that man did in his state and in his city, he reclaimed the city of Bombay for the Maharashtrians. He reclaimed the city of Bombay for the Maharashtrians, for his people. Because that city, the capital of Maharashtra, everybody was anybody except the Maharashtrians. They were the underdogs of the city. I've seen it with my own eyes when I was young, in the 60s or 70s. Parsis, Sindhis, even our Goans, everybody on top. Maharashtrians were nowhere. They were just laborers in the city. But today if you go, you see the Maharashtrians where they should be. Every institution is taken over by them, including the Bombay University. The name of the city itself is changed to Mumbai. And that is because of thackerey. Well, we need something like this here. You can use better methods. If it's possible to do it by better methods, I don't know. But we need a movement of that kind, a movement to reclaim this land back to its people and to itself and to its legacy. That is the kind of thing. This is the kind of relevance that Menezes Braganza has for us today. Thank you very much for listening.